Hello, everyone. I am Irvin Zabaleta. I use he, him, his, el pronouns, and we want to welcome you back to SEAC 2020. Just quick reminders. We want you all to tweet, to post on Facebook and Instagram using the hashtag NCEngageCampus. We really appreciate those shout outs on social media. And we're also very appreciative of working with us as we pivot this virtual gathering this year. You are on fostering intentional community partnerships, the link between campus and community. This workshop is presented by the one and only Natural Love. She serves as Assistant Director for Community Engagement at UNC Pembroke. We are very happy that you all are here. Just a few things. We want you all to be interacting with us. So please utilize the Q&A platform on Zoom to send us your questions for the webinar. The chat is going to be used just for feedback. In case Natural wants to ask you all questions, then you type it on the chat. But if you have questions about the workshop, do not wait until the end. I will be managing the Q&A part of the webinar towards the end. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Natural. Natural, welcome. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you all so much for having me. Thank you to everyone who's on the other end looking at this virtually. I appreciate you all for joining in on my session. So my session, it is titled Fostering Intentional Community Partnerships, the Link Between Campus and Community. As Irving already mentioned, my name is Natural Love, and I am the Assistant Director for Community and Civic Engagement at UNC Pembroke. So hello again. So in the chat, Irvin already mentioned, being interactive with us both. So in the chat, if you could just share your name, your institution, and your current role. I'll give you all a few seconds to add that in there. So Irving, be prepared on your end for all the information you will get. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hi, Erin. Hi, Emily. Hi, Kimmy. I can now see the chat, so I'm so excited. Hey, Gloria. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Bob. Hey, Mary. Oh, hi. Oh, man. Okay, this is so awesome. Oh, hey, Dalton again. Oh, this is so great. This is so great. Well, hello to everyone who's already just put your information in there. I'm trying to keep up with all the chats that are coming in. I'm so excited. Oh, another assistant director. Hi. All right. So you all feel free to keep throwing your names, your institution, and your current roles in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the presentation. Let me see if I can get it to go. Okay, there we go. So I think it starts off first, just to share a little insight about who we are, who is UNCP, what is UNCP, because for many of you, we all come from different institutions, and they all carry a story or a sense of uniqueness. So UNCP, it is located in the southeastern North Carolina town of Pembroke. I don't know how many of you all are familiar with Robeson County, but to me, I've grew up there my entire life, and it is very diverse and unique in its own way, but I can honestly say our institution and Robeson County brings a sense of community. So UNC Pembroke is housed in Robeson County. We have over 130,000 residents, and as I mentioned, it's one of the most diverse counties in the nation. UNCP, we are known for having a rich American Indian history. A little history here, so founded in 1887 as the Croatan Normal School, and of course UNCP, it was solely for American Indian teachers in the beginning. Now it's turned into the nation's only 4-year public institution, and it was founded by American Indians for American Indians. With that being said, we have 100 plus clubs, organizations, over 295 plus faculty, and we have quite a few undergraduate and graduate programs. Myself, I graduated from UNC Pembroke with both my bachelor's and master's of social work. So, UNCP, it brings its own richness and culture, as I'm sure a lot of your other institutions do as well. So jumping right into the overview, let me see if I can move this chat box up just a little bit. Okay, there we go. So the overview. So my goal for today, while I have you all here, is to help you all reflect on your current community engagement practices, and also just to provide you all with some tools or materials that you all can utilize on your own college campuses. I realize and recognize that we all have just some great information that we can share, some resources that we can offer each other. So why not start by doing these types of presentations and these types of engagement? So we'll start off just by, I'll share some light about our community partners, then going into some information about the process for community partners that we use as an office. And this is for our established and new partners. I'm then going to transition into a slides talking about community partner outreach. So how are we as an office engaging with the community? What are we doing? What are some of our upcoming efforts and our current efforts? Then I'm going to shift over to talking about some training and professional development. We all love that. I know I do. But just talking about some trainings that we offered last semester, and then some things that we're doing as an office for the summer 2020. Lastly, I'm going to wrap up talking about the appreciative-based change model, ABC model, as we like to call it in CCE. And this is a model my team and I, we created just to help emphasize the student, campus, and community relationship. And then I'll end with some Q&A. But as Irving already mentioned, feel free to put all of your questions into the chat. And Irving, I'll just need you to help me just to filter through those. All right, here we go. So you all, of course, you have to introduce the team. So this is my wonderful team, the folks I like to call my family. We have Ms. Christy Poteet. She is our director. Mr. Sandy Jacobs, he's our associate director for service learning. We have Mr. Dalton Hoffer. He's our assistant director for student engagement. Myself, there in the middle. I know I look a little differently from my campus photo and my look now, but I'm the assistant director for community engagement, as mentioned. Then we have the lovely Miss Gloria Hunt. She's like our glue. She keeps things running in the office. She's our administrative support associate. Then we have Mr. Lucas Martinez Jr. He's our AmeriCorps Vista. And then we have Miss Deborah Gonzalez. She is our AmeriCorps Vista as well. So introducing you all to the team. They're on the chat. I know a lot of them are on this presentation as well. So who is the Office for Community and Civic Engagement, and what do we do? So like many of you, not only does your institution have a story, but your entire office. You all, as we do, create different programming strategies just to connect with your students, your community, and your faculty and staff. So we in CCE, we like to change lives through education by enhancing student civic engagement competency, through high-impact service learning opportunities and community involvement. So we did this by getting our students engaged both on campus with different initiatives that many of our student leaders facilitate, such as different youth outreach programs, things related to adult and youth life skills, doing things related to sustainability, voting efforts, XYZ. But we ensure that we give our students an enriching experience, connecting them to different volunteer opportunities so they can be better citizens and prepared, rather, whenever they're graduating and going out into their careers. So, do not launch the poll just yet, Irving. I'm going to go through the poll, and then I'm going to lay out some answer choices. But I want you all just to think about for a second, in your current role, how do you increase capacity and ability to engage and support student volunteers? Is that through creating campus and community partnerships? Is that how you all go about just to increase capacity and ability to engage with your students? Is it through developing an MOU? Do you have something in place for your student volunteers as they're going out to volunteer with organizations? Is it through creating or managing different volunteer management tools? So what are you all using as a volunteer database? How do you all recruit? How do you all get the word out about what you have going on in your office, and then getting the word out about what community partners might have going on? Is it through trainings, professional development? We all love these, but is that a way that you all go about connecting and engaging? And then lastly, all of the above. I hope my all of the above isn't full, but I think that might be the one that's most prevalent. So if you all go ahead, you can launch the chat now. Oh, cool. I think it's so cool how I can see this on my end.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Seems like creating campus and community partnerships is leading. That's interesting. I figured all of the above would be full. All right, I'll give you all about maybe 5 more seconds. All right. So it seems that creating campus and community partnerships, oh man, that one led the poll with 73%, but it seems like a lot of you all are have a lot of management tools to engage with your volunteers. Okay, so 23% of developing an MOU. I hope something that I provide today during my presentation will be insightful. And then, okay, this is interesting and so cool at the same time. Thank you, Irving. All right. So UNC community partners, who are they really? So, of course, I think it's important not only to talk about what makes UNCP unique, what makes our office unique, but also talking about those in the community who are creating these efforts, who are really the educators. So at UNCP, with our office, we have 187 community partners. We have 22 partners, new and active partners who were added during last semester and between this semester. You all partner locations, they vary. I didn't realize how many different locations our partners were. I think it's so fascinating to point out that we do have one partner who's in New York. So I say that to say they have like their main office in New York, but they do a lot of remote work in our community. So we're not sending students to New York City to do volunteer work at all. In spring 2020, I think it was interesting to say that we had 18 community partners who were identified to work specifically with the College of Health Sciences. And then how we like to define community partners, we just don't see this as just, hey, educators in the community, boom, that's it. It can be anybody. No, we have a way that we like to categorize, a way we like to define who community partners actually are. So community partners, they are community-based organizations. These are our nonprofits, our public agencies, our schools, different private businesses. And these are the ones who are not just saying, you know, hey, we want students to just volunteer at our food bank to get 10 hours. No, these are partners who say, hey, we want to offer you all or offer your students a chance to volunteer, but also a chance to think about, well, how does it connect with what we're doing at our organization, and then how do they, with what they're doing in their classroom. We also do this through many service learning efforts. Community partners, as I mentioned, they're not just individuals who create opportunities. These are essentially the co-educators. So these are the ones who are out here engaging with our students, giving them meaningful service that supports not only our office mission, but also our institution's mission. And then all community partners, as I go through my presentation, this hopefully will connect a little better, but all of them are listed on UNCP Serve. So our office, we just came through a wonderful period of assessment. I don't know how many of your other offices have came from assessment and what you all have been doing just to kind of tell your story. But I think it's important to use information like this, as my director has reminded us, to tell our story. So we had 4,870 hours that were recorded with our community partners, and this is during the 2019 and 20 academic year. I think it's important to mention that this is an increase. So from 2018 to 19, we had 1,417 hours that were completed. Now we're kind of leading the charts. We're doing great with what we're doing. And I can say, you all, that when it comes to the community partnerships, yes, 187, like that's a very big number. When I came on in May, I was kind of intimidated by the number or by the amount of partnerships that we were going to increase. But I came to realize that One, not every partner is on the same level. And then two, it takes some assessing of the community partners to see, how many are still active, because maybe you're working in this role and you recognize that, well, maybe we have a partner on our database who hasn't offered opportunities since 2014, which was our case. So when I came on in May of last year, I went through our entire list, made hardcore, phone calls, maybe some grants expired, maybe, contact information is, no longer valid, maybe, their phones just are disconnected. So I think it takes some assessing to also get to this number. And then we had 29,620 total hours completed by our volunteers, and this was during the 2019-20 academic year. All right, I love pictures. I found it so cool just to be able to add some of these pictures to really capture who our community is. So for the next few slides, I want to guide you all on a conversation about our community partner process. So what we're doing as an office to create meaningful and impactful partnerships. So this isn't something, or if you want to put it in the chat, you can, but this is really a question I want you all to think about. How do you, whether it's you in your current role or you as a organization or department, what are you all doing to create meaningful and impactful partnerships? All right, who doesn't love a good poll? So the poll question is, does your organization or department have an established and or formalized process for community partners? This one's pretty simple. Yes or no? You can launch it. Oh. What's it coming in? I'll give you all about maybe 7 more seconds if you haven't already voted. All right. Wow. Okay. So it seems like 58% of you all do have a formalized process, but then 42% don't. That's okay. I hope that I can shed some light or some insight on what we have done or what we're doing to create our process. Thank you, Irving. All right. Okay. All right. So what is our community partner agreement process? What are we doing as an office to create this process that's really adaptable and easy for our partners to become partners? I hope that made sense. It didn't sound right when it came out, but during the 2019-20 academic year, our office, we established a community partner agreement process. So before I go into this, let me give you all a backstory. So I came on, I was hired in my role in May of last year, May 6th actually, so I've hit a year, woo! But I come from a small town of Fairmont, North Carolina. It's located in Robeson County. It's about 25 to 30 minutes away from campus. And I knew that once I was hired that I was going to make Fairmont, North Carolina, the town of Fairmont, a community partner. So I made a few phone calls. I contacted the mayor, the town clerk, and I was like, hey, I want to set up a meeting. Set up a meeting in one day. I didn't think it would take that fast, but it was just like that. So I went to Fairmont and had a conversation with Mayor Townsend and the town clerk about, what is it that we can do to develop partnership? What does this look like? What could this look like? Well, the conversation, it went on pretty well. And when I left, you all, I think I was at my biggest state of confusion. I left riding in my car, heading back to campus, thinking about, I'm missing a step. Because to me, we had a conversation, and then immediately after that, it was, okay, now you're a community partner. That's what I told them. That's what we agreed on. That's what it was. But I do think that during that process, I missed the most important step about what is our process. I thought about that for a while. And then the next day, or maybe that next week, I had a conversation with Christy. I was like, Christy, what is our process? What does that look like? So she tasked me with creating it. So maybe in the past it was, hey, our partners, they sign up on UNCP Serve, boom, they're posting opportunities, events, all that is that they have to offer. So now we actually have a formalized process. So what it looks like now is for returning community partners, we ask that they review one, the community partner agreement form, which I will share with you all in our next slide. Two, we ask them to update their organization's profile on UNCP Serve, you know, understanding that everyone's busy, especially during this time, but allowing them to, you know, take a chance, you know, update your contact information. Is the person who's listed on there as the contact, are they still working with your organization, which I find to be the spark of a lot of the conversation. And then we encourage them to go through a UNCP Serve refresher training. I'll share a little bit more about UNCP Serve throughout my presentation, but this is completely optional because maybe the partner, they just had a training last year and they're like, you know, we don't need any more training, we're fine, we got this. So that's completely optional. And then for partners who are interested, or for organizations interested in becoming a community partner, their process is a little bit different. So we first encourage them to register on UNCP Serve. This is our volunteer database, our tool. So we're encouraging them to, hey, go ahead and put your information on there. And what happens is on our manager's side, I'm able to see, or my team, we're able to see that there might be one pending organization or one pending partner. So immediately, at least within one business day, I'll go in, make my phone calls, send my emails, just to set up an initial meeting. Then we ask them to review and complete the community partner agreement form, schedule a site visit. You all, I did not realize how important site visits were until I started this type of work. Just getting a chance to see, you know, where are our students going to be volunteering. I've been to at least one organization that when I left, I was like, okay, this is not somewhere that I would want our students to go, because there were just that gut feeling, I guess, that you all might get of, I'm not too sure about this place. And then step 4 is they are recognized as a community partner, but still with emphasis on them completing a UNCP Serve training. And then all of this information, any documents that you'll see in the next few slides, or if you want to get more information about our process, is located on uncp.edu/CCE. So I'll start off by talking a little bit more about our community partner agreement form, or for many of you, a MOU. So our community partner agreement form, this was created for 1, accountability, and 2, liability purposes. I realized, as I mentioned, when I left the town of Fairmont, it was really unclear about what my next step was. So Christy, she instructed me to create this agreement form. And this is just, you all, emphasis on accountability, because oftentimes I found that, you know, if you don't hold anyone to a formal agreement, then they're going to think, you know, I'm going to do the bare minimum or just what I think is best because this is all I know to do. So having something formalized, something laid out for both parties. So let me move my little picture in Irving over to the other side of my screen. So for you all, as you can see, we have it starting off with the parties involved. Our agreement form, it lays out the purpose. The community partner, what are the obligations and responsibilities? Talking about the university, what are their obligations and responsibilities? And then some mutual obligations and responsibilities. But there are a few things I wanted to point out in our MOU, or our agreement form. In the first section for parties, recognizing that this is not the month, the day, or the year of, you know, of when they, you all had the initial conversation. So for example, we had some community partners who've been with us since 2014. That was when partnership was established. And then on that area, we wouldn't put, or I wouldn't put that partnership started on June 8th of 2020, because partnership initially started back in 2014. So that's the date, the year that I would include in that section. And then I think it's also important to mention, if you reference to number 3, community partner obligations and responsibilities, the agency contact. So the agency contact and then some additional just contact information listed on the site. These are 2 different people, essentially. So the agency contact is who we like to view as the person who oversees the volunteers, the person who might monitor them when they're going out to volunteer. So for example, If we have a community partner or organization, they might have a director who oversees, or like a coordinator who might oversee all of the volunteers that come in. And then maybe they have a administrator or a secretary who is the person there, like if a student's interested in volunteering, this is the first voice they'll hear, this is the first person they can get some information about on their next steps. So the agency contact, that person who oversees the volunteers, who monitors them, this is the person that we're talking about for this section. And then as we're going into, like I said, the agency, as you see outlined there, this of course is serving as the entity, the entire whole. So if a student's going out to America's Food Bank, they're going to be connected with the secretary or the administrator, and then to be connected with the director or the site coordinator when they go out to volunteer. Then we have just some general policies and procedures that are laid out there. Then, of course, acknowledgements. It's not done until it's signed and it's sealed. So we're asking on this section, after both parties have reviewed the document, that the community partner representative, so this section could be something that's done by or filled out by the director, or maybe the secretary, the director gives the secretary permission to go ahead and sign the form and send it back over to us. So this is whomever that person is that's going to say, hey, we're agreeing to you all's policies and procedures, we're on board. And then, of course, acknowledging the staff member. So this can be myself or anyone on my team who might have this conversation. And I also think it's important to mention with this agreement form, so this isn't something that I just said, you know, hey, I know all of this information. This isn't all coming from natural. This is a lot of information that I adapted. I had a conversation with Sandy, and I kind of adapted his service learning agreement form, or MOU, to the audience of community partners. So, I'll get to that in a minute. But I adapted that language for it to be appropriate for the audience that I was engaging with. I thought my next slide was going to go into some food for thought, but it's a couple of slides away. But I can share with you all some tips or suggestions, kind of what we did as an office to create this form. I do want to talk to you all, or share with you all, something pretty cool that I wanted to do for the longest, and it's our community partner packet. If you all have a formalized process already, so maybe your MOU, consider creating you like a packet. So in our packet, it includes our welcome letter, and then it breaks down some of the different services or programs in our office, just to include some stats as well. One of our, I had an MSW intern, she worked with me last semester, and it was actually her idea to create the welcome letter, which I thought was really awesome, because, you know, as you're reading through different brochures, whether you're at a doctor's appointment or you get sent that initial packet for something, there's always going to be that welcome letter. So I encourage you all, if you don't have this already, to create that. And then in our packet, we outline like our mission, who we are in CC, different ways that community partners can connect. So whether that's through direct projects, indirect, through advocacy, and then sharing with them different ways that they can connect with UNCP. So is the partner interested in solely academic service learning? And if they are, then that's a conversation that I can send the community partner to talk with Sandy about. Is it something they want to do if they say, I just want to focus on campus engagement, I just want to do your volunteer fairs, because every partner's on different levels, right? So for these partners, maybe, you know, this is a conversation that they can have with me, or I can send them over to Dalton and he can assist them with different ways or methods for campus engagement. Then as we're talking about co-curricular service, this is something that students can do outside of the classroom. So these are things such as our days of service, our alternative break experiences, UNCP votes. And then Sandy Jacobs, I don't know if I may have mentioned in the beginning, but just to reemphasize, he is our Associate Director for Service Learning. So he would be the guru for all of that information as partners are interested in connecting for these different opportunities. I'm like the middleman. So I'm sourcing out these partners as they're like, hey, I just want to do service learning. Okay, sourcing you out to Sandy. If they're like, hey, I just want to do I want to be a part of an alternative break experience. Hey, I'm sourcing you over to Dalton to have that conversation. And then we also use UNCP Serve. I'll go into that a little bit later throughout the presentation, but I just wanted to shed light on that. And then, of course, I already told you all, but we also outlined that in our in our packet. So talking about like, what is the process again? Having a tangible document that the partners can print off or they can keep on their computers electronically. So it's not just, okay, every time I want to know about the process, let me go here to this, to the website. Can you please share that? Yes, I can, Corey. I can definitely share this by email. All of this, actually, I can share by email. But as I mentioned, if you do, you can go to uncp.edu/CCE and you can look under our Community Partners tab, and all of these documents are available to be downloaded as PDFs. All right. Moving right along. Okay, so our community and civic engagement staff. So of course, it's important to mention who we are in our package. So sharing this with individuals, because I don't know if it's like you all, but for me, it's easier for me to know who I'm talking to. So if I can see, okay, that's what Christy looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna know how I can present myself during the conversation. Or if I'm over here, you know, just trying to talk to Dalton, I'm like, okay, he seems really nice. I don't know if you all do that, but I'm quick to get on Google, do my searches and see, okay, what does this person look like before I have my conversations? And the site again is uncp.edu/CCE for this information. All right. This is a slide that I've been waiting to get to. Okay, so some food for thought. So if you all are interested in creating a community partner agreement form or a MOU, these are some tips or some suggestions that you can use. This is what I did when I started out on this process. So number one, just think about what is your process. You need to start there, creating your process first. So thinking about, okay, well, what is the purpose of my agreement form? Like, why do we even have to have one? Maybe you're an organization or department, you're like, we don't need it, so this wouldn't apply to you. But maybe you're someone who said, yeah, you know, we have an MOU, but we're trying to kind of brush it up a little bit, but thinking about what is your purpose? Thinking about like, what are the responsibilities, the obligations of the community partners? You just don't want it to be like a one sentence thing saying, hey, community partners are just here to offer opportunities. No, you want to outline what it is that you want your partners to kind of be on board with. What is it that you hope to expect or gain from them? Do your research. Number two, with emphasis, you all do your research. As I mentioned, this MOU is not something that I just pulled out my brain to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is all of the language coming from natural. Not at all. I wish it was, but not at all. I did my research. So originally, before I conversated with Sandy, our Associate Director for Service Learning, I did my research to see what other institutions are using. What are MOUs? Are they out there that other colleges are using? How do they sound? How do they look? What is the language? Maybe thinking about if this is something that you want to do, is there an agreement form that already exists? So as I told you all, I had a conversation with Sandy about, you know, what kind of agreement form do you have for service learning? And I used the same form that he had just to adapt and change up my language to make it more applicable to our community partners. Three, discussing it with your director. If you all are anything like me, I go to my director, Christy, for just about anything, just to make sure I'm on track. So really having this conversation with your director, because they can offer some general feedback, as we all know. I can say for number four, I think this one was the most important. Just consulting with your institutions if you have like a general counsel, and this is just for final revision. So for us, we had to add in like a FERPA statement once it was sent over to our general counsel, because, you know, this was an important statement to add. It caught their eye. So just kind of getting some of that final feedback from them just to see, you know, well, what is it or what else can we add? Is the language good in what we're trying to emphasize here? And then two, as I mentioned already, create you a packet. Who doesn't love to have something tangible? I know I do. If you're anything like our administrative support associate, Miss Gloria, she loves to print off everything. Shout out to you, Gloria. But for someone like Gloria, if they were very similar in their ways, then they would want a document, something tangible that they can use and have handy when they need it. So once your process is created, once your form is created, share your process with your partners, of course, right? So for established partners, thinking about, you need to really make sure you assist them with this new transition. So maybe for some of the partners, they've been a partner with you all for like 5 years. and they've never had to do or sign an MOU with you all because it's nothing that you may have asked in the beginning. So just assisting them with that transition, introducing them to this new process or this new way. And then again, with emphasis on the party section, the the first section that you've seen on our MOU, emphasizing that the date of partnership for us is not something that we see for just the current date. This is something that says, okay, in UNCP Serve, they signed up to be a partner on July 4th of 2016. This is the date that I include there. And I find with that one, that can be a little fuzzy or a little complicated for me, because oftentimes when I send it over, like I encourage the partners just to put the partnership date on there, like the initial date that they became partners, but oftentimes they'll put the current date and then I have to use my whiteout, send it back to them, but it's okay, it's okay. So I say with that, if you already know like the date of your partners and whenever they wanted to become partners, then you can include that on there for them and then just send the form over so you don't have to be like me and use whiteout. And then house your records, of course. I say find a safe location, but it can really be any location because I don't think there's anything on there that's really confidential or sensitive information. But I usually will house them in one of my filing cabinets or my desk drawer in my office or on my personal computer because, of course, a lot of us, we do electronic these days. So I house it all there. All right. Shifting, site visit checklist. I wonder how many of you all have that. I don't know if I have a poll for this one, but we'll see. No, I don't. But just thinking about that, is this something that you have at your institution? Do you have a site visit checklist that you might use? So this is something that my director, Christy, she really emphasized for us to create or for me to create. And this really helps me, you all. It helps to facilitate the conversation because oftentimes when we go out and we're going to talk with someone about the things that we do, it can be, you know, there's a lot of steps to what we do as community practice or community professionals or leaders in our community. So using this checklist as a way for you to stay on track, your partners to stay on track. If you have maybe a graduate assistant or interns or students who work with you, this could be something that you share with them for them to have this information and to know how to kind of have a step-by-step of the conversation. So this tool, don't think of this only as something that you have to keep to your office. Like this is only something that Natural can use. No, this is something I send to the community partners as well and allow them to have yet again a tangible document, something that they can use and can follow through with me when I'm going out and having my site visits. So on here, you all, it lays out on the left side just like the main steps, whether that's first starting off with registering, then arranging that in-person visit, setting up a meeting, of course with the times we're in, doing everything WebEx, then going to, you know, having the conversation about the mission, like what is the mission of our organization, and then the partners sharing the mission of theirs, because maybe sometimes they don't align, but oftentimes they usually do. Thinking about like what level of partnership is best. Is the partner only interested in service learning? Are they only interested in volunteer fairs? Because I found that partners come in for different levels. So not every partner is going to have 10 opportunities posted because they might be a small organization. They just might need help with social media. And then we might have another organization who said, you know what, I want to do it all. Connect me with Sandy, our Associate Director for Service Learning. Connect me with Dalton because I want to do some voting engagement efforts. Connect me with Lucas because I want to do things related to hunger. And I find that this helps because as these programs come up and as we're thinking about these things, I keep community partners in mind for this. And you can even take it a step further and create you like a Excel document with this information. So when you're thinking about or you're planning for your volunteer fairs, you already have people who say that they would be interested. Or if you're planning for maybe an alternative break experience or like a day of service, you already have these partners who said, this is the area that I want to be a part of. Then as you go on down, just talking about the nature of the partnership. So I found that maybe not every partner is aware of how they connect with all of our students, because of course, all of our institutions, we have a lot of majors. So maybe I say every partner is not aware because many partners, when I'm having conversations, they might say, oh, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that opportunity that I could offer for students. But just having this general checklist for them to check, yay, you know, I'm interested in only social work students because we are focused on working with clients who may be responding, or clients who may be faced with crisis. Or maybe they're saying, you know, hey, I just want somebody to help in your criminal justice department because we do a lot here with our prisoners. Or maybe it's just a community partner who says, I really would like to have a nice canvas party or a nice publication that I can use, and connecting them with maybe an art major, maybe someone in mass communication who could help with that. Outlining, you know, training, supervision. Do the students need a waiver? You know, I think this checklist helps because not only does it keep everyone on track, but it also allows the partners and even myself to think about the things or the gaps that maybe might lie, or the things that I might need to think about creating, or giving the partner the chance to think about, okay, well, maybe I didn't think about a training, but maybe now I should. And then, of course, just kind of breaking down some of those logistics. So what do students need to do before they get to the site? Is it that you're asking for them to call first? Is it that you're asking for them to send an email? Or are you asking for them to say, you know, hey, I just, you know, you can just show up? Like, what is the process? What should students wear? I haven't emphasized yet, but on the right side of the checklist, you'll see where it says like CBO, CCE, all acronyms, community-based organization for CBO, CCE for community and civic engagement. You can adapt the language to fit your department or your organization. But I included this on this side because it just kind of outlines who should be at the table. Whether when you're going out to visit, maybe beside discussing the nature of partnership, it would be a good idea to have that person who's going to oversee your volunteers. Maybe to have the director there if they're not the one overseeing your volunteers. This helps to create more of a conversation, a formal conversation, without having any loose ends. And I found to you all that oftentimes you can't bring your director to the table because they're extremely busy, or they can't bring them there. So whomever that person is initially that you reach out to, they will connect you with the person that you need to talk to then create this formalized meeting. All right. Moving right along. Breaking the checklist down a little more, even sharing or shedding light emphasis on, you know, what hours will the students need to be there? Is there anything they need to bring? Maybe something that you all haven't thought of, but who should the organization contact if for an emergency, if something happens while the volunteer is there? You know, I feel like this information is important to communicate because maybe the student is a freshman, they're an international student, and they're not sure of who might be that right contact. So this information would be useful not only for the partner, but also for the student, which this document could also be shared with them as well if you all see fit. And then also just outlining some risk identification. So do they have some sort of liability coverage or insurance? What risks? Are there any risks? Are the students working? I know we had one community partner. Of course, we're in some trying times now with this pandemic, but we did have a community partner who put on our volunteer site that they're offering, I know one was like a bilingual translator, so working with maybe some individuals who've been affected by COVID-19. So in the description, of course, it outlines the specific risks, but even in that section, like that would be the perfect time for the partner to say, you know, hey, we're offering this opportunity during this time, but we're providing these sorts of measures for your volunteers if they come out to volunteer. And that can also be something that you keep as an additional document. Talking about evaluations and surveys, telling our story. Many organizations, they may not have this already. So why not have a student who might be a social work major who is familiar with creating surveys and assessments to help the community partner in this area? So it just thought to me, you all, that not only can this be used as something to facilitate the conversation, but this also can be used as something to help create some opportunities, volunteer opportunities, maybe some service learning opportunities, especially if the partner or the organization might identify a gap that they want to fill. A tour of the site. Hey, like I said, getting an idea of where our students are going to be volunteering is key. Just having the person just to give you a quick tour, and if they can't do it that day, maybe just arranging another time for this conversation or this tour to happen. Giving them a chance to introduce you to their staff, to anyone there who might be either at their office or who might engage with the student while they're there. And then lastly, whether this is through after your visit or before ending your visit or something that you send to them through email, having them to sign these forms. So I can say for me, the checklist isn't really something I usually ask for a signature on. I just included that there in case. But this is something really where I use as a tool to help create the conversation. I would say for good measures, maybe have them to sign off on it because, you know, is something that can, I guess, not hold them as liable or accountable as the MOU may, but this is something that they can't say, you know, as you all develop or continue to strengthen partnership that you didn't have this conversation with them. So I do think it would be appropriate just to sign that off. And then include key terms. Use acronyms, but including like the key terms of what these things actually mean. All right. Oh, it's important to mention too that site visits for us, they're completed every 2 years. So don't boggle down your partners and say, every month I'm coming to your organization to complete a site visit. If you have to, cool. But being conscious of their time, being conscious of what they have going on to not overwhelm them or overbear them. So we say 2 years, you can do 1 year, you can do a week if you want to, whatever's accommodating for you all. Food for thought. Okay, so if you all are interested in creating a site visit checklist, or if this is something that you want to do, then you all can go you can look at this information to figure out, well, how can they create their MOU? What is some research that they can do? How do they reflect on their process? Having the conversation about how to start the process once the information is created, thinking about how time is of the essence. All right. UNCP Serve, I'm going to just shed light on this just for a bit. This is where community partners, they go to register. New community partners often, they will be directed to this site to create partnership. If you don't have a volunteer database tool, then I encourage you to create one. I've moved forward in creating just like a UNCP Serve navigation guide, another tangible document that partners can use and have when it comes to how can they navigate through this site. I will share with you all food for thought. So if you all are interested in creating like a partner registration method or something similar to the navigation guide, these are a few steps that I did. Just ensuring that some training is there just in case, assisting partners with the new transition, and then making it clear as to what it is that you're expecting of the partners when it comes to navigating through your site. A little bit about community partner outreach, thinking about what methods you all are using to engage with community partners. Irving has given me the cue that we have about 10 minutes left. Is that right, Irving? Okay, so I'm gonna fly through the poll. I think I spent a little bit too much time in the beginning, but I think it was all great information anyway. We're gonna skip through this poll, Irving, but I just want you all to think about in your roles, what are your most utilized outreach methods? Is that through phone? Is it through email? Is it through surveys? Is it through social media? Is it through direct mail? Is it through in-person visits? What are you doing to engage most with your community partners? Some cool things that we're doing as an office, we have a monthly newsletter. One of the MSW interns who worked with me last semester, she created this newsletter. It's something that we distribute monthly. They're available on our office website, uncp.edu/CCE. And individuals, they have the option to also join our mailing list, and that's created via Qualtrics. Okay, moving right along. Yes, participants, they will be sent a copy of all of this information. If you are interested in creating a newsletter, take your photos if you haven't already. This is what worked for us as far as our layout, thinking about what are the current trends going on. So our intern, she created our April newsletter about COVID-19. So thinking about what are the trends going on, doing your research. And I found it helpful as well to create a group on Outlook. That helps me. So every time when I'm trying to send a newsletter, I'm not putting everybody's name in the to section. I actually created a group where it says just community partners 19 through 20 or 20 through 21 with all 288 of them. And then I just make sure that you do not forget to BCC, because if you don't, then community partners are going to get this exhaustive email with all emails included in there. All right. So I just wanted to shed a little bit of light on some surveys and assessments that we're doing. A survey that we did or that we're doing now is just to gain some feedback from our partners. So if you're thinking about community partners or any of your audience, thinking about what is a way for you to continue to tell your story. We created this survey just to kind of get some information about what are you doing related to COVID-19? What are some trainings that you've been a part of or you want to see? I created this survey through Qualtrics. And so far, we've had some great responses. If you see there in the results section, many of the community partners, they gave good feedback about things that they want to see, things that they're doing, and then just sharing how our volunteers are helping to connect with their mission and what they're doing. Just think about this question, training and professional development. So what are some of the opportunities that you all are offering to increase capacity and ability to engage and support your volunteers? So some things that we've done, I'll let you all read that for yourselves, but some things that we've done in the past are just really emphasize training and professional development opportunities. You can see there for all of the numbers, some results that we've done from our assessment period for our community or for our overall faculty, staff, students, and community. I thought the results were pretty impressive. And then, of course, we did our first community engagement symposium. I would be happy to share any information related to this because I don't think we'll have time for it today. But I held a symposium last semester in December, and this was really a chance for our office and UNCP to connect with different community leaders to talk about how can we rebuild our community? What is it that we need to do? So after I sent out a quick survey or a survey to just different community leaders from a past workshop that I went to, I then chose the specific topics that they said that they wanted to talk about. And then from those top 6 topics, I then chose presenters in the community to facilitate the conversation. And the idea behind this is to have like a subcommittee or a task force to create different action plans. So is this something that we want to do? Well, feedback has shown this is something that should be done annually, something that should be done quarterly. But I encourage you all, if you want to know information, I'll be happy to share as much information on this or any documents that I have related to this. I'll skip through this slide. A little bit of the things that we're doing for summer 2020, just to shed light. Join us tomorrow, you all, if you have some time on your schedules. We'll be hosting our Community Engagement Virtual Workshop Series. The Director of Global Engagement, Kathy Lee, she's going to join us and talk about intercultural communication. The link there is like the 4th bullet down, but it can be found on our website as well, uncp.edu/CCE. We're also doing snacks and social justice. So this is something we're doing as an office. So again, if you have time tomorrow at 3 p.m., join us on Facebook at facebook.com/uncp.cce to be a part of the conversation. Dalton and I were going to have some conversation with some students and some other leaders about active citizenship. But we also have some upcoming topics that are going to be quite interesting, such as power of youth, voting, power of women, and impacts of COVID-19 on education. Lastly, won't shed too much light. I'll be here for questions if you need to. Appreciative-based change model. I'm gonna skip through this. So I'm gonna just say with this slide, you all, this was what we used in the beginning to talk about who we are as Robeson County. Maybe these numbers are astounding to you all, and they were astounding to us, but we realized that we don't want our students to just see this as who we are. We want our students to kind of change their frame, change their mindset. So our office, we have now an appreciative-based change model. And what this model does, it emphasizes the student, the community partner, the faculty and staff relationship, allowing the mindset to change from what's wrong to what's strong, thinking about how we can emphasize commitment, collaboration, citizenship, and communication with the end outcome being change. And then this is an audit that we used. We introduced this at our first community engagement symposium, but this audit was useful because it allowed the community partners or our audience to start thinking about, okay, well, what are the things that we want to do? What are the things, how can we be more committed, more collaborative? How can we create citizenship opportunities or emphasize our communication? So these are some tools that works, and I would be happy to share any information on that I have as well. I think I did pretty good, Irvin. I may have went over Q&A. So what questions do you all have? What can I answer for you that I may have not already? Gonna drink some water.
Great, thank you, Natural. Yes, get a little break. We're good on time. You did really well towards the end,
Yeah.
throughout the whole presentation, sharing great resources. We really appreciate it. As a matter of fact, we have a person that wants you all to go through 3 o'clock. So this is really great information shared with the group, and there is several requests on the chat box
Okay.
from folks that want to get this presentation from
Okay.
you, Natural.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems that people really have um, our interest in this topic. We do have one question in the Q&A section. I
Okay.
want to just encourage participants. We do have 10 minutes, give or take, for questions reserved for you all now, beginning now. So if you didn't get a chance to ask those questions, then this is the time. So please type it in the Q&A box, and I will be reading those aloud. So let's answer the one that we have currently. So again, thanking you all for such a great information. They would like to hear more about UNCP server trainings. What, like, if you can share more about that, and we do have time, Natural, if you want to explain a little bit more into
Absolutely.
detail.
So UNCP Serve is something that we use through a platform called Galaxy Digital, and UNCP Serve is a tool that we use to one, recruit students, or not to recruit, I would say, but just to share some opportunities that we have going on in our office. All of our community partners use this platform or are encouraged to use it, but they can post on their different opportunities, events that they have going on. This is the site where it'll show on my end, hey, there's a pending community partner. This is the person that I need to talk to then go about setting up an essential meeting. It's an online mobile-friendly tool. It's serve.uncp.edu. If you want more information about that, I can also connect you with Dalton Hoffer. He's kind of the guru to that, and he's trained me pretty well on it. But I'm sure he wouldn't mind offering some additional information about this site. I hope that answered your question.
Great. Great. And let's see, hold on. Here's a, thank you all for sending those questions. Thank you, Natural. Let's gonna answer this one. Patty asked, I wanna hear more about ABC.
Yeah, Patty. Okay, great. I'm glad. And also get my contact information. I would be happy to share some additional info with you that I might not cover. But yeah, so our office, Dalton, our Assistant Director for Student Engagement, myself, and Sandy Jacobs, our Associate Director for Service Learning, we thought last semester that we needed a model as an office because we have so many components, right? So we were trying to figure out, okay, well, what is it that we can really focus on? We can hone in on to create the conversation, because of course, on the slide that I showed you all where it laid out the stats of 12% bachelor's degrees, 29.2% of XYZ, like this was the conversation that we were having with students. So whether this was like a freshman class or a service learning class, like this is initially where we started our conversation. And our goal with this was to change the mindset, because often if you saw those statistics, if you were a student, you might say, well, gosh, why did I come to this school? Or gosh, maybe your mind isn't, I want to start here to create change. Maybe your mindset goes to, man, these are all the things that are wrong. So we were trying to create a model that emphasized the great things that we're doing as a community, the great things that we can do, a way for us to then move forward to create change. So changing the mindset. So thinking about then not what's wrong, thinking about, well, what can we create to enhance different areas. So we focused in on 4 different levels. The commitment, I'll actually go back to that slide. We focused on commitment, collaboration, citizenship, and communication, because these were some of the main components that we do as an office. We use this model not only just as like a resource, but also a way to create change. So as we're talking to maybe some faculty and staff and they're thinking about service learning opportunities, this is a model that we can emphasize and use with them so they can start thinking about, hey, when students are going out to do these opportunities, allowing them to think past their what's my word here, just to think past of what they think they can do and expand their opportunities, expand their knowledge and their framework to think about what areas can I hone in on, what can I do as a student, and think about how can I collaborate more, but just not doing collaboration, but about how can I create sustained dialogue. Or when it comes to communication, having students, like if we have a big day of service, like MLK Day of Service, for example, not just having the conversations, you know, as we're wrapping things up, a little debrief about what the actual day was about, the actual thinking about how can I create data or survey or assessment to get some information about our critical reflection. Are we really analyzing the pre, the post, what's going on during that experience? In our office now, we're actually working to think about what is our assessment? How do we assess this model? Because this is the model that our director gave us the okay on, that we're like, hey, we want to use this, but what assessment do we need to assess what we're actually trying to do? How are we going to implement this? So this is what we use. I hope I answered your question.
Hey, wow, that is awesome. All right, we are going we have a couple more minutes. That's great. We have a few more questions. We're gonna go with this one. So server training. People are interested in server training,
Okay, yeah.
Natural. So is it required for students and faculty? Or what type of trainings are they required for students and faculty?
So with UNCP Serve Training, so UNCP Serve Trainings for me in my role, I like to offer these trainings to our community partners. And this is a way because, of course, if we, have this formalized process, whether it's through your MOU that you've created, you got your checklist, you got your volunteer database or how community partners are going to engage with your students, but what if they don't know how to navigate it? You know, what if they're new to this whole process? So I offer these trainings. I usually will go to the sites and we can have those trainings with their organization. They're usually about 30 minutes to an hour, but it's really just laying out, okay, well, what is UNCP Serve? These are the different features. That's what the navigation guide was used for. Let me see if I can back up really quickly. But the navigation guide, that was actually used to have this conversation. Here we go. It was used to, I send this out to all of our community partners or really anyone who's interested in navigating Serve. And I use this to really just help that conversation, because not every time when I'm having a conversation with partners do I want to ask them, which I used to do, you know, well, what do you see on your screen versus what I see on my screen? So I send this tool out. The trainings, they're offered for our students if they want to know like how to navigate this site, because of course we have some on-campus clubs or organizations on there as well. So we use this as a tool to share the light of what the UNCP Serve is, and it's also used for our faculty, because oftentimes, like for example, we work at the School of Education quite a bit, and they, of course, she gets stumped sometimes, but she'll call me like, Natra, I need some help with UNCP Serve. But the refresher trainings, we have a link on our website or a page where they can do like maybe I think it's like a request that they can do, and it's something that we emphasize on them creating. But usually I go to the sites to do them, but they can also be done in our department as well. I hope I answered your question.
All righty, and then Dalton also mentioning that the service learning courses and freshman seminars get an overview of the training. All right, great. So it seems that Kimi says that just if you did answer that question, the first question, and then let's go. This is the last question that we have, but we have time for one more question. If there's another question, feel free to type it in the Q&A part, and then also connect with Natural. All right. Do you provide the agreement and packet for partners in Spanish? Oh, great question, Corey.
Ooh, great question. We don't, but that is an idea. Thank you for that. Yes, that is something I actually would like to do. I think that would be great, actually. So thank you to whomever suggested that. But we don't now, but I can say that's something that we're going to move forward in doing. Thank you.
All right, let me check just the chat really quickly. Okay, that was the questions about agreements and packages. Just Ruby from Central. Hey, Ruby. Just saying that they use Galaxy Digital, also called Conecte. And yeah, so thank you so much, Natural. This was fabulous. Thank you so much. We really appreciate sharing your expertise, and you hit the ground running at UNCP.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you everyone for joining us in this session. We have one more session starting at 3:15, so you get a little bit of a break. That'll be session number 5. But we also want to remind you that after session number 5, the closing from Leslie remarks starts at 4:30. Just last reminder, if you haven't tweeted today, be sure that you tag us on Instagram, Twitter, and or Facebook using our handle is NC Campus Compact, and please include our network hashtag NC Engage Campus. Muchas gracias, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.